Mayo doesn't just belong inside a sandwich, it can also go on the outside for a delicious grilled cheese. But can it possibly dethrone butter? We tried both methods to find out. Butter is the conventional choice when it comes to making grilled cheese sandwiches. It's naturally rich because of its high milk fat content, and anyone who has made brown butter knows that the flavor deepens when it's cooked. That's because the milk solids separate from the fat when butter melts, creating a toasted flavor that infuses the grilled cheese with an unmistakable decadence. The major caveat with this method is you can't use butter straight out of the refrigerator because it's too hard, making it difficult to spread. You'll want to give butter about an hour on the counter to soften, so make sure to plan ahead. When it comes to making grilled cheese, salted butter is better than unsalted because it helps accentuate the butter's richness. You may not have it on hand though, because most people bake with unsalted butter. If you don't, there's no need to stress. You can sprinkle a little salt on the butter after spreading it to achieve a similar result.
Is mayonnaise an instrument?
Mayonnaise has become a recent favorite for grilled cheese, and for good reason. It's easy to spread, and it's naturally soft, so you can use it straight out of the refrigerator. It has a high oil content that promotes browning, and cooking with it gives bread a pleasant, eggy flavor. One of the reasons cooks prefer using mayonnaise here is because of its high smoke point. Butter has a relatively low smoke point, which means it starts to smoke and burn between 302 to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. If you're not careful, the butter can burn before the cheese is melted. According to Firefighter Inside, oil-based mayonnaise is much more heat-resistant and won't start to smoke until it reaches 450 degrees. While it is possible to burn mayonnaise, it would require much hotter temperatures compared to cooking with butter. It's important to note here that not all mayonnaise is created equally. For this taste test, full-fat Duke's mayonnaise was used. Low-fat mayonnaise, vegan mayonnaise, or Miracle Whip may result in sandwiches that don't brown as well. When comparing the labels on the products used for this test, the nutrition is fairly similar. A tablespoon of salted Kerrygold butter contains 100 calories, 11 grams of fat, 7 grams of saturated fat, 30 milligrams of cholesterol, and 100 milligrams of sodium. A tablespoon of Duke's mayonnaise also contains 100 calories, with 12 grams of fat, 2 grams of saturated fat, 10 milligrams of cholesterol, and 70 milligrams of sodium. Mayonnaise does have lower levels of saturated fat, but the type of saturated fat found in butter may not be as unhealthy as we once thought. It contains an essential fatty acid, known as pentadecanoic acid, which may be linked to health benefits like reducing inflammation, lowering the risk of heart disease and diabetes, and managing depression. Of course, be sure to have a conversation with your doctor before deciding which fat is healthiest for you.
Hey, butter, sweet butter.
The butter was removed from the fridge the night before the test, so it was sufficiently softened. This made it easy to spread from end to end in a nice, even layer. Without this step, the spreading process would have been extremely difficult, and the bread would have likely been torn up. Once the pan was preheated, the bread was placed butter side down. It started sizzling as soon as it hit the hot surface, but the melted butter was contained underneath the bread without spreading beyond the edges of the sandwich. On the first flip, the bread appeared to be browning evenly between the edges and the center, though there were some spots that remained untoasted. It took a second flip and some light pressing with a spatula to promote browning throughout the entire surface. There was some smoke in the pan around the 2-minute mark. The butter had reached its smoking point, but the smell was quite pleasant. The mayonnaise was extremely easy to spread on the bread straight out of the refrigerator, which definitely earns the condiment some bonus points. Because of its consistency, however, extra care is needed to spread it in an even layer. It had a tendency to be gloppy in some areas and thin in others. As soon as it hit the preheated pan, the mayonnaise started bubbling at the edges of the bread. Once heated, the whole area smelled intensely of mayo. Over time, the heat also released the condiment's oil, which spilled out from the sides of the bread. It was necessary to move the sandwich around the pan to collect that excess oil so it would brown evenly. After the first flip, the edges appeared to be browning faster than the middle, but the middle was also heating fairly evenly. A light press on the middle of the bread helped keep the outsides from getting too dark. It's also worth noting that the pan didn't smoke at all during the entire cooking process. Let's start with what both sandwiches did well. The butter and mayo versions turned a gorgeous golden brown color in the same time that it took the cheese to melt. They both had a fantastic, crusty texture, though the mayonnaise grilled cheese was greasier to handle while eating. Most importantly, they both tasted great. The butter brought a rich flavor that greets you with familiar caramelized notes. The mayonnaise had a slightly eggy taste, a pleasant lingering tanginess, and was overall more complex than the butter. Taking all those factors into consideration, the mayonnaise grilled cheese was our overall winner. It displayed more even browning than the butter-slathered sandwich and didn't require any advanced prep work. That said, our taste testers actually preferred the flavor of the grilled cheese prepared with butter. The sweet nuttiness of the brown butter caramelization was hard to beat. It was also less greasy than the mayo version. Overall, even if mayo came out slightly ahead, both have their advantages. With that said, it's hard to call either one a loser.